Hello guys, welcome to another episode of BNC. So in this video, we will learn how we can set up our Nodejs application with the Express. Also, we will learn how we can run Nodejs application on different environment. So first thing we have to do is install Node.js in your system. To install Node.js in your system, follow the Node.js over the website. Download the long-term support version that they have mentioned. After installing Node.js in your system, to check Node.js is correctly installed on your system or not, simply open up a terminal and then write node dash dash version. So it will give you the current installed node version. Okay. So if you get this, then this means you have successfully installed node. So with this setup, node also gives one package or CLI, which is npm. So if you don't know what is npm is a node package manager which is help us to create Node.js application. npm has a set of libraries, so with the help of those library we will create our this backend. Okay, so first thing we have to do is create one folder which is backend, or you can write whatever you like. After creating folder, open up your VS Code terminal, and then to initialize any Node.js application, first we have to write npm, then to initialize we have to write init and -y, and then press enter. So if you see, it created one JSON file which is package.json. So in any Node.js application, package.json is a root file which contains current project name, which can be backend. Here in my case, current project version, which is 1.0.0. You can change if you like. Project description, so I will write hacker news clone backend server. Okay, then we have one main file which is the entry point. Also we have a couple of scripts, then keywords for the project, author name, so in my case I will write BNC. Okay, and license. So after initializing project, the first thing we have to do is create one file which can be anything. You can write index.js, you can write server.js. So I will write index.js in my case. Okay, so after creating JS file, first thing we have to do is in the script, in the package.json, we have to define some script that start the Node.js server. Okay, so there are two types of script in any Node.js production ready application. First thing is final product, which can be run on server, and second one is development environment. Okay, so we will create two scripts, start and dev. Okay, so whenever we developing or we code in our system, we will use dev, and then whenever we deploy on the server, it will call start script. Okay, so first, to run any Node.js application, we have to define one entry point. In my case, I have created index.js file, so I will point node, then file name. Okay, same goes for development environment as well. Also, one important thing to note here is you can also write any script you write. For example, you can write bnc, then node index.js as well. So after defining two scripts, we will start creating our server with help of node and express. To install any libraries, we have to write npm install, then name of the library. So in my case, we will use express. We will also use config. What is config here? I will come into the next point, press enter. So it will install two libraries in our package.json. If you see now, we have two dependencies, which is Express and version of the Express, the config library, which is 3.3.1. okay, so this version can be different, but if you see this in your package.json, then this means you have installed Express and config for your project. Also, after installing, we have also two folders. First one is node modules and second one is package.log. So whenever we install any third-party libraries, it will create one folder called node modules. To create Nodejs server, first we will follow mainly three steps. First, we will import the libraries. Then after, we will write some code that tell Nodejs server how to run. Then at last, we will listen on a specific port. Okay, so we will listen on a specific port. So we have already installed libraries in our project. To import that libraries, we will follow one syntax, which can be const name of the library, and then to import that library we will use required keyword and then name of the library. Okay, so we have imported our ExpressJS library. Then after, we will initialize server with Express. Okay, then after, we will define in which port this application should run. So you can write any port number you want. So I will write 5000. In my case, it can be different. You can write 4000, 3000, any number you like. Okay, so this is for setuping any Express server. Then we will listen on that port number. To listen on that port number, what we will do, we have already created one variable which is server, and server dot listen on that port number. Okay, to start a Nodejs application, what we will do, npm run and the name of the script. This can be dev or start. I will write npm run start. So if you go to the Chrome browser, any browser you like, then localhost, then the port number that we have specified here. In my case here it is 3000. So okay, it has do something like get cannot get, but this is fine. So we have made our own server. To stop Nodejs application, we have to type command C or control C. So it will stop Nodejs application. So if you see on the browser, it will say localhost if you wish to connect. Okay, but the issue that we have feel is we don't get any log or any message that our server is running. To put that kind of message, listen function will give us one callback function. Okay, in that callback function, what we can do, simply console.log and then server is run. Okay, let's run server again, npm run start. So if you can see here, now we got log, server is running. Let's stop this server again. Okay, one important thing, if you want to see in which port our server is currently running, then what we can do, after message I will add plus sign and then input variable, which is port. So let's run server. Okay, to run the server, we can use this script npm run start. Okay, so you can see server is running on 3000 port. So if you see on the browser, yes, we got message. Okay, so this is the basic setup of any Node and Express server. But what if we have large scale application? We can't directly close the server, make the changes and then run the server again. To monitor continuously changes in our code and restart the server, we will use one library which is NodeMon. To install NodeMon, so we will type NodeMon. Then in the first link we will get npm. So here it says npm I NodeMon. I is a short form for install. So we can also write npm install NodeMon, or we can type npm install NodeMon. So after installing NodeMon, you can see in our package.json we have another dependency which is NodeMon. Okay, so we will do one thing. Whenever we deploy our application on the server, we will use start script, and whenever we do code in our system, we will use dev script. Okay, to run Nodejs application with the NodeMon, we will simply type NodeMon here, NodeMon, and the file name the file. So let's run npm run dev. Okay, so now we have some different logs. You can see here we have a NodeMon logs as well, and it says server is running on 3000 port. So now if we change the port number to 4000 and press command save, so it will restart the server, and now we can see our server is running on 4000 port. So you can see if we are hitting on 3000 port, we will get nothing, but if we see on 4000 we will cannot get. Okay, so this is the setup thing that we have to follow. Then after, what if we have large scale application and in which we have set of credentials, like in any backend we have database URL, some credential that we don't want to expose. Okay, so we can directly use that thing as a variable. Okay, so to store that kind of credentials, we will use another library which is config, that we have already installed in our initial setup. You can see in our dependency we have installed config. Okay, so let's see for the documentation what config will say. Config then npm. Okay, so it says config is a library which allows us to store configuration related information for our project. Okay, to use that library, we have to make another folder inside our backend, okay, which is config, and in that folder we will make two files, default.json and another will production.json. So what does this mean? In any Nodejs application, our application is divided into several parts. Okay, first part is in the coding part, in which many developers come together and write some code for any application. Then it will go to testing part, which can have different credentials. Then after it go to the staging part. It can be like several parts that any MNC or multinational company follows. So in that scenario, what if you have to store different credentials for different environment? So let's say, Suppose for local, our server should run on 4000 port, but on the production the port number can be different. Okay, and we can't directly change it from directly like variable. It is not suggestible way. Okay, for that scenario Node.js gives us environment variables. Okay, to use that environment variables we have created two files, default.json, production.json. Okay, one thing to note here, whenever we run any Node.js application, it will run on a development environment. If you have to switch that environment variable to any other, like what if you have to test how this application runs on a production environments on different port, then for that scenario we will use this library. So enough of talking, let's use this library. To use this library we have to make couple of JSON files. First one is default.json. So in that folder, in that file, what we will define port, and for default this will be 5000. Okay, and for the production the port should in the production environment the server should run on 3000 port. Okay, so let's see. First we will import that library. Okay, to import the library, same as above, we will use config. Then after, to grab these variables we have one option, config, and each expose couple of functions. To get any values we will use config dot and then get. So now if I restart the server, you can see npm run, and then you can see as in our default.json our port number is 5000, we can see server is running on 5000. Okay, if we change in default.json to 4000, so now you can see our server is now running on the 4000 port. So let's see how we switch between the environments. So to switch between the environments we have to pass environment variable as a command line argument. To pass this argument we have to follow some syntax. This will be node env, then our environment variable now will be production, and then write same npm run dep. So now you can see in our production JSON we have 3000 port, but in our default JSON we have 4000 port. So as we are running this publication in our production, we can see our port number is 3000. Another thing we have to note here, before writing any configuration file we always give priority to environment variable. Okay, so to give priority we have to follow process.env, then port. Okay, so what does this mean? If we have environment variable which has port value, then it will take first. If does not contain this value, then we will take this from JSON file. Okay, so now if we see node port is equal to 2000 and then npm run dep. So now you can see as I pass port 2000 as an argument from command line, so it will take first that port number and it is exists, that's why our server is running on 2000. Okay, so this is it for this video. I will catch you up in the next video.